This is our motel in Colchane, which is right on the Bolivian border. And if you look at a map, it's in the Tules. I mean, I don't know if you can get much farther out, maybe central, parts of Australia, but otherwise this is probably pretty close to it. Remodeled somehow, since these rooms don't have any interior windows, but they do have skylights. I have this room to myself tonight, which is a nice convenience. It's a tiled floor, tiled bathroom, and there is hot water tonight, and that's nice. Nice large shower. Hopefully it shoots out good water. So this is more than serviceable considering where we are. In fact, this is quite nice compared to any standards that I use. If it's got the basic amenities and it's clean, this is it, and this is it. The next thing you hope for is that the beds are comfortable, and this is a nice firm bed, which is good. I chose the one that didn't go uphill at the foot. What I most enjoy about these places is that the reflection of the owner's entrepreneurial attitude. Well, here we are early in the morning, well, 7 o'clock. This is the border for Bolivia. And one of the local native women on her way to whatever she's going to be doing today. You can be sure it'll be basic hard work, whatever it is. This is Aduana, or the customs. First 3-story building I've seen in a while. Well, at least since we left Arica, of course. Met 2 young men yesterday, one from France and one from Switzerland, who are geologists doing studies on the volcanoes that we'll take a look at closer today, because they apparently reflect or respond, if you will, to the earthquakes seen in another part of the country or the area nearby. And so they're beginning the process of trying to define what that connection will be. These look like big tour buses. They are. Our hotel is okay for as remote and primitive a place as this is. It's got what the 3 things that I like. It's cleanliness, a good bed, and a hot shower. I don't think you can complain once you got that. That's the front of our motel. It's been pretty heavily remodeled. It has kind of a front room area where people can meet, and then it has actually an area that would be a rec room if anybody ever used it for that. And then it's just been remodeled into as many rooms as they can get, which is pure Scott Eaton, so I can empathize with that one. Now this is the standard outfit that these folks will wear on a daily basis. The man wears a similar outfit, and he'll wear that out into the fields and apparently wear it all day long, even in the hot sun. Although it's beginning of fall, right, or late middle fall right now, so I may not be accurate on that point. I'm guessing here directly at the border are little tables set up, analogous with kiosks, probably to sell breakfast food to the folks coming through, as well as gewgaws. And over there, I think probably a simple kind of a church. The thing that's unique about and interesting and worthwhile about being in a place like this is that you are unable, if you were trying, to avoid the reality of the phenomenal difference between the lives that these people live and the perspectives that they have for the future, blah, 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 and what I or someone coming from a first world nation would have. We can come here, hang out for a few hours, and feel like we're doing something cool. We'd be mentally and probably physically wrecked if we tried to do this. There's the mountain bike of someone who's on a heroic journey. This is the mountain bike of the fellow who I I assume it's a fellow, on some pretty terrific odyssey-like bike ride, taking him from Bolivia into here. I can't think of any other reason that he would really come this far if he were staying in Chile, which means if he's going this way, well, don't know which way he's going. Notice the 3 water bottles he's managed to figure out how to put on there. And these cactus that I'll pan across are called Atacama de Cariquima, or something like that. They look a lot like the saguaro, except that their branches seem to go more vertically, if this one's any example. And the name again is Cariquima, so Atacama de Cariquima. And we're at about an elevation of 3,700. So we're still pretty darn high. That's meters. This is a typical kind of structures built by the local people, obviously out of the material that is incredibly prolific, rock. This would have been a dwelling for a week or two or whatever, and this where the animals might have been kept, although I find that little door curious. And these are walls that might have been also used as to keep them in. Apparently different families could use it. And the people in general used it at different times according to where the foliage was for the animals to eat. Now across the road you see a field obviously used for agriculture to grow quinoa. Quinoa is kind of a grain similar to wheat, only it's a little round one. Would be used in soups and probably breads and all kinds of things. Anything above 4,000 feet cannot accommodate agriculture. Anything beneath it, this being 3,700, it can. Notice again the volcanoes that surround us. 1, 2, maybe one back there behind that one. That may be one in the background. You can see its top blown off if I go in closer. And this rugged landscape here may again be some remains of a volcano, or it may just be uplifted land, because you can see, or I think I can see from this distance, some kind of layering up there. Don't know. Looks like they're undergoing some repair of the area around the center of the town. Got a nice little job with that gazebo. Apparently this center part will hold flowers, or did, or could. Close-up of one of these big cactuses. I sense the differences without looking again at a saguaro of the apparent fuzziness, which may mean very thin spines on the upper portions, yet the lower portion looks very similar. It's really morning gas. I'm sure it's, I'm assuming it's not without intent that these figures appear to be holding up that beam. Now to the bell tower, which is a separate edifice. So these men are working on what will become the museum for this area. You can see that they're working on the floor. The cemento is still fresca, and what they're doing now is preparing this surface probably for some kind of stuccoing. You notice it's a very hand way. I assume the reason for doing this rather than scraping it off is to provide some purchase for the stucco, if in fact that's the reasoning is correct. This reminds me of when I was in Barranca de Cobre down in the canyon watching three men dress stone for individual stones for a fence alongside of a school. And then all of this, some modern technology and a satellite dish for television. Notice this street has all been done in stone and cement, and the road all the way around has been done. And there, that rock is for the balance of the walkways. This is for Marion, and it's in this unique little town, of which I'll describe more information, but this is just to show where I'm buying it. A little story to add to this. I didn't put my glasses on when I gave the lady my money, and I gave her a 10,000 peso instead of a 1,000 peso, and she corrected that for me. I just didn't put my glasses on, and so I gave her, in addition to the price she had asked, another 500 pesos just to thank her for her honesty. And you, Marion, I should suspect will consider that to be quite an added benefit of what I will give to you, even though it is a small token. This is the Iquique plant. That's what the soup was made out of yesterday.
Nous avons devant nous un champ de quinoa. C'est des céréales qui est dépendent des agriculteurs et ici dans le champ. Abajo de una hay elevación.
Il y a deux.
Al arriba. Y donc
This is called a bofedal. This is bofedal de Roma.
con la evaporación porque no hay mucha lluvia aquí. El sal.
This is just a good panoramic view of this country that we're going through this morning. Snow-capped mountains, the sparse, salt-infested waters. Most of these mountains, including the little spur on the right there, are volcanoes. Here, a little micro chunk of Arizona or Wyoming or Utah. Some of this, in talking to a geologist, has been lifted 10 to 12,000 feet. Feet. All these back roads here and elsewhere in Chile and in Argentina, I believe, seem to be marked by these numbered signs every specific dimension, whatever that is. There are two kinds of predators that roam this northern Chile. One is the puma and one is a cat, looks like an ocelot, that has the tail of a ring-tailed cat in the States, which is not a cat. Particular something like this. This looks like a microcosm of what is seen in far more grandiose terms at Chihuahua National Monument. Same with this. It's unique in its context. And that's the way that I... Looking at this rock structure, it's obvious that this is sedimentary and probably a fairly fine sediment. Again, this, while unique in its context as it is, and therefore causing us to stop, is just a small chunk of what you might find at Chiricahua National Park, just as one example. But yet in this context, this becomes a gem. It's interesting to notice that at the base of this is a small cave area, and it's got, you can't see it now too much, but you can see some of the rocks that were used to create some kind of a habitat for a man or a small family, whether it were these shepherds of today or... Estatua, cabezas.
Sí.
Here all along this riverbed is evidence of terracing. It's now fall, so I can't be sure what is not used or what's abandoned and what's actually used. Small village down in that big canyon. It's interesting how you can see the multi-directional tipping of the land here.
Siempre en las rutas del desierto de Atacama, se encuentra el oasis. Y este es uno de ellos. Es parte de una ruta.
C'est gravé dans la terre.
Y también es muy religioso. Esto es un sitio religioso. Es un sitio de ceremonial, para hacer ceremonias aquí mismo. Las peticiones a la Pachamama.
Es possible that this represents the sun and the moon. That assumes that it's as old as the other. He seems to think it is. I wonder if that's something in his hand, and also whether this is some part of the design.
Así que, como última cosa, vamos a hacer un trek desde aquí. Ustedes, yo voy a ir
This is the Atacama Desert, which I should spend more time in the next 4 or 5 days. We're stopping for lunch. I guess we're going to this restaurant, which I assume he gets a kickback from, but anyway. Giant killer tour bus. Don't think it goes where we go. I think a bridle in the bit, and the saddle, well worn, double horns. Huh. And some locks. And some sad irons. This one would have held charcoal. Our driver said that there are over 400 mines in this area that are being worked, and so this restaurant becomes very important at night as a refuge for these people. The remains of a scale, maybe a toy or just an old ceramic. An old canteen. This is for, but I'll get in closer and see. It comes off, as you can see, it's held up there, so you can pull it off quickly. And here's a drawing of someone using it. Maybe Marcella can tell me what it says. Made by a company called Mini Max or Mint Max in Berlin, but imported by this company in Valparaiso.